Shalom, shalom. I'm going to try to make this a quick little lesson. I know it's late tonight. Felt like coming on here, though, and giving an encouraging word. I thought to name this, bittersweet is what I planned on naming this, but I might just name this, what should I name this? I might just name this, let me think. I might just name this signs of the end, right? Shalom, shalom. What's up, Scoop? Shalom to everybody joining the live feed and everybody that's going to watch this after I save it. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, honor, oblation, obeisance to the Most High by the way of his Son, who was an instrument of salvation for the nation, right? But getting straight into it, man, Isaiah 5 and 20. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. Shalom, Captain Aliyah. Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. This should be a good one. Because, you know, this is like Shalom, wizard from Yah. Hey, look, this should be a good one, though, because, you know, this is a telltale sign that we're living in the end of the world. We're living in the end times, in the end days. When you read the Bible, right, the Bible will talk to you and it'll give you a timeline in prophecy, right? The Bible speaks about prophecy, and it gives you that prophecy in timelines. It might say, in those days or after those days or in the latter days, right? Giving you like beginning, present, and future. All right. But this video right here is going to be telltale signs of that we're living in the last days. And we've been living in the last days for a minute. But this is Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. Isaiah 5 and verse 20. It reads, "But if ye refuse," Salakia. Isaiah 5 and 20. "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." I'm going to read it. I'm going to keep reading. "Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight." Right? Con. Thanks for that. I'm going to take my time. A lot of times I'll, get excited and want to overspeak. Shalom, shalom. You know what I'm saying? And get tongue tied. But I'm going to read that one more time. It says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight," right? Wise in their own eyes, prudent in their own sight. Bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. For example, there was a time, right, where it was a trend to drink what? Hennessy. In the black culture, it was a trend. Hennessy became a trend in the black culture. We was cooking with Hennessy, right? Everybody was drinking Hennessy. They had Hennessy on clothes. You had Hennessy in social media at names, right? And people trick themselves into thinking that Hennessy tastes good, right? And some of us, even in the truth, might still think Hennessy tastes good, but that is a bitter alcohol. It's a strong drink. It's not sweet. But if you keep doing something over and over again, it's no longer going to be bitter. It's going to end up being sweet, which is why the Most High said he give people up to a reprobate mind, right? Let me get this real quick. In 2 Thessalonians, because that's what you do, on a earthly level. You could take something like alcohol and just see how you get accustomed to alcohol. When you at a party, right? When you at a party and you drinking a lot of alcohol, right? When we was in the world and all of us was drunkards, right? Or, I'm not going to bear false witness, but when most of us was drunkards in the world and we was drinking alcohol at parties, right? You keep drinking it. It was bitter. But you keep drinking it till it wasn't bitter no more. And you keep drinking it till it wasn't bitter, and now you're giving over to your own destruction. And that's kind of what the Most High does to us when we call the darkness light and light darkness. Right? This is 2 Thessalonians. This is 2 Thessalonians 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 12. I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, "And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie." Right? So guess what? Even on an earthly level, like I said, with the alcohol, he's going to give you a strong delusion. You start seeing Proverbs, I believe it's 36:26, something like that. Proverbs, though, it talks about don't drink the wine when it's red, because it's going to make you see strange women. It's going to make you think strange thoughts, and it's going to bite you like an adder or a snake. It's going to bite you like a snake at that in the time when you least expect it, when your guard's down, right? It says, "And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned, who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." Right? They had pleasure in unrighteousness. They had pleasure in sinning. They had pleasure in doing what made them feel good. Right? And so they was deceived. That's what delusion meant. He gave them a strong deception to make them think that they was okay. He gave them a strong deception to make them think that they was on the right path, just so it could be easier for him to split the sheep from the goats. All right. So check this out. Let's go to Romans chapter 1 and 25, because this is what the world's done. This is what the world has done. Romans chapter 1 and verse 25. And it reads, "Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen." Right? What does that mean? To worship the creature, more than the Creator. Right? We seek the approval of men nowadays. Everything is, well, that's not nice. That's, what about that person's feelings? What about how they feel? It's all about how a human being feels and not how the Most High feels about it, or what a human being says and not what the Most High says about it. Right? And because of that, right, this is what happens. 26. "For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections." Right? What's a vile affection? Well, you keep reading. "For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature." Right? You could watch a movie today and you don't know what you're looking at. You don't know if that's a man. You don't know if that's a girl. You'll sit on the couch, look at who's ever sitting next to you and be like, was that a man? Was that a girl? We're living in those times. You know what I'm saying? And that's because we all want to accept the way everybody thinks, which is very dangerous. That's very dangerous. Right? You're opening up the doors to a lot of evil. 27. "And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat." Right? So guess what? Even our men, they going off. You see the meme that was going around of a king warrior next to a modern day black man today, so-called black man today. And they're two polar opposites. And it's no wonder that they're doing that, is because they're using social media and these movies and stuff to push an agenda on us, right? And so that we could leave from our natural use, which is being kings and rulers and being masculine, into being people that don't do nothing all day but sit behind a computer and, gossip and then turn effeminate. Right? Who turned the truth of God into a lie? Who said good was bad and bad was good? All right. I want to give a few examples. I got a few examples. Right. But before I get the examples, I want to hit these 2 points, because one of the brothers I follow, Iman Yasharallah, on here he was doing a debate earlier this week. And he was debating a Christian pastor. Right? We were miseducated. We was miseducated, but that's because we wanted to be miseducated, because the truth was right there. We knew right from wrong, even from, the days of our parents. That's why it was called, for example, just the homosexuality thing coming out the closet, right? It was always seen as a mental illness, but somehow it crept up and we got compassion for other people to where now it's, it's a way of life. But back on topic, my brother was doing a debate with a Christian pastor, and the Christian pastor said, he made a statement and said, no, you getting all mixed up. You talking about different races and all that. And you think God is dealing with races and blah, blah, blah. And, we're not saying God's dealing with races. We're saying God's dealing with nations. And God tells us over and over again, he's dealing with nations. All right. And it has nothing to do with skin color at all. A lot of people think it has something to do with skin color. It don't have nothing to do with skin color. Right. But another thing that he said was, the Christian pastor, another thing that he said was, there's only good and there's only bad. There's good and there's bad. Right. And a lot of people that you talk to, whether they go to church or not, they believe that there's only good and there's bad. I believe if I'm good, I don't know if heaven's real or if God's real, but I believe, good things happen to good people. I believe in just being good. As long as y'all preaching to be good people on this earth, man, everybody should just be good, be a good person. Right. But the problem with that is there's so many different interpretations of what good is. And that's why I read what I read in Isaiah 5:20, because it was prophesied a time would come where bitter would be sweet and sweet would be bitter. Lightness turns into darkness and darkness turns into light. Right. So it's a time of confusion. So it's not as simple as, hey, there's just good and there's bad. Right. Because good to this person might not be good to God. And that's the ultimate thing. We're fighting between our flesh and we're fighting between our flesh and what God wants. And, you know what I'm saying? It's not that simple. We think it's subjective, but really it's objective. And people will try to spin the narrative and say, well, it's not up to us. It's up to what God said. But do we really listen to what God say? Do the people today still listen to what God say? And this is how you could tell that we're living in the end of the world, because people don't listen to what God say. You can read it verbatim right in front of them, show them, and they'll legit deny it. It's right. This is truly a place of confusion, right? And it's truly Babylon, because people just babble on and on. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to learn. Nobody wants to put away their pride. Nobody wants to put away what they believe or how they feel, because we're all pumped up into our own selves. Sirach 32 tells us that a sinful man is going to find a way to do his own will. Right. So if you're a sinful man and you're homosexual, guess what? Or a sinful woman and you're homosexual, you're going to find a way to be homosexual. Right. If you're a sinful man and you want to do drugs, you're going to find a way to do drugs. And you're going to convince yourself that it's sweet when it's really bitter. You're going to convince yourself that alcohol, that Ciroc tastes like apple juice when really it tastes like rubbing alcohol. Right. And it's going to burn going down until the Most High say, guess what? You want to keep doing it so much, I'm going to make you accustomed to it. It's not going to burn no more. It's gonna feel smooth going down. It's gonna taste like water. I'm gonna give you a strong delusion until your own destruction. All right. And another thing, another argument is they say that it's a different time that we're living in. We're not living in those times no more. Right. But the thing is, there's nothing new under the sun. They were living in worse times than we was. Hey, look, the sin in those 5 cities, right, around Sodom and Gomorrah was so that the sin was so high that the Most High had to make it rain fire. The Most High ain't made it rain fire yet. Hey, look, our sins are still stacking up. Best believe it's coming. But hey, look, their sins got that high to where he actually rained fire. So hey, don't tell me that we living in different times. They lived in times of homos. They lived in times of transgender too. They lived in times of wicked kings and wicked judges and wicked rulers and oppression. We living in the same times, right? They had to fight the same spiritual fights that we got to fight today, right? So when you read this book, you're looking at men all this stuff is written as a testimony to tell you, hey, look, this is how you get around that. All right. And we got to take heed to that. A few examples of why it's not subjective, it's objective. What does subjective mean, right? If you don't know what subjective mean, you didn't pay attention in school, in the so-called white man school system. I'm gonna teach you what subjective means, right? Subjective means it's personal, meaning for example, it's subjective to me, meaning I think sweet tea tastes good, but somebody up north might not think it tastes good. It's subjective to me, right? But objective would be the sun is always hot, right? That's a fact. Everybody knows the sun is hot. The sun's not cold, right? So that would be objective. But this is the difference between the two and what we got going on in the world today of confusion, right? Subjective. Everybody thinks that this book is subjective. Everybody thinks that the will of God is subjective to how they feel, right? What they think is right. Well, I don't think that's right. God wouldn't do that. Who are you to tell God what he would do? All right. And the problem with that is it makes us feel comfortable, and everything in this society is emotion driven. Right. I'm going to name a couple of I'm going to talk about a couple of examples real quick. Everything is emotion driven. And once again, we're going back to that same argument that the Christian pastor brought out against my brother in a debate. There's only good and there's only evil. There's only two. You just got to be a good person. But what determines if you're a good person? The law determines if you're a good person, right? Whether you sin or not determines if you're a good person. You can't just say there's only good and there's evil, right? Because then you're going off your own opinion. But check this out. There's a movie called Yellowstone. Well, there's a series called Yellowstone. And what it is, Yellowstone is it's a national park, but it's a lot of land in Montana, right? And a lot of land in that Montana area is owned by a reserve, Native Americans. If you watch it, it's no way that you can't see that the Native Americans are our people. Just the stuff that they talk about, how they treat each other, the different stuff that they do talk about. You just got to watch it. But half of that land, is stolen by middle-aged white men that have ranches. All right. And in those ranches, a lot of drama goes on. A lot of killing goes on. And as you're watching the show, right, in America, as you're watching the show, you might grow emotional ties to some of these so-called white men, right? You might grow some ties to some of these people on these ranches that stole this land. You might grow some emotional ties. So when somebody dies or get hurt or sent to jail, you're like, dang, why my boy got it? But you got to remember, they stole that land. So whatever happens to them, it's supposed to happen, right? You reap what you sow, according to Galatians 6:7, right? But the way that these movies are set up today is to get you to agree with evil, to get you to side with bitter, to call it sweet. For example, another example, you can't watch nothing today without seeing a homosexual scene. You'll watch it and, and some of us, we won't even watch it no more. As soon as you see that, hey, look, I'm not watching this series no more. I can't watch this no more. You fast forward. But guess what? Some of us will keep watching, and then psychologically, you'll be attached to a character in a movie, and say somebody get killed or hurt or robbed or whatever, or they get into some type of drama where it's some relationship problems. Now you over here feeling bad for somebody that's in sin, and they're being punished maybe because they're in sin. All because it's a movie, though. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we're being dumbed down to who turned the truth of God into a lie. We believe we start emotional attachment plays part in con. So they get us emotional attached, and now everything is emotionally driven. Everything's emotionally driven to where it leaks into the Bible now. So now we can't tell somebody how they feel because we're emotionally driven because of what we watch, what we take in, and what the world is doing to dumb us down, to make it naive. Kind of like in a toxic relationship. In a toxic relationship, you'll keep saying, no, it's not toxic. It's not toxic, to where it's super, super toxic, right? But you don't notice. Another one. Well, we can move on from that. All right. So Proverbs 28:4. This is Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 4. Proverbs 28 and verse 4. And it reads, Salaki. And it reads, Proverbs 28:4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked. What does it mean to forsake the law? That means to live in sin, right? Because if you forsake the law, that means you leave the law. That means you're living in a world of sin, which makes you a sinner. No, we're not all sinners. You're only a sinner if you practice sin. Because if the righteous are scarcely saved, then what of the sinner? You don't want to be a sinner, right? They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. So if you keep the law, you're going to always contend and clash and have derision and have arguments and have beef with people that forsake the law. But the people that forsake the law, guess what? They're going to praise the wicked. They're going to praise other people that forsake the law. Because guess what? Those other people agree with them or accept them. So who gets praised in this world? These big mega church pastors. They forsake the law. They preach that we don't need to keep the law. They preach that it's okay to get tattoos. They preach that it's okay. God's going to forgive you in the end. You're already saved. You just got to accept your salvation and accept that he died for you. They preach these things. And guess what? People have praised them for that. People praise them for that. Why do they get the praise? It's because it says they that forsake the law praise the wicked. Because the people that's praising them forsake the law. So they're going to praise the wicked. Right? Who else gets praised? For example, I hate to bring up trendy topics, but for example, Kim and Kanye. People slander Kanye, but they'll praise Kim. They'll slander Kanye, but praise Kim. Because why? If you're doing something according to the Bible, they don't like that. But if you're doing it against the Bible, guess what? Hey, look, more power to you. All power to you, sis. All power to you, bruh. You know, do what makes you feel happy. And that's what got us in the situation we're in today. For example, everybody knows like Chloe and Halle, right? Lawless doctrine sounds similar to manifestation. And so think about Chloe and Halle, right? Chloe and Halle, they started out as wholesome girls. And then they get a few gigs here. They signed to Beyonce. And next thing you know, Chloe is doing God knows what on the stage. I know a lot of us, we see that for what it is. But you got to go to her page. Go to her page. Go to these famous people's pages, right? I know you're aware. I know you're woke. I know you're awake. We all are. But guess what? If you go to these famous people's pages, hey, they got millions of subscribers, millions of followers. You go to their comments, they got many of people praising them for wickedness, right? Because, hey, look, it was prophesied in the Bible. It says, those that forsake the law gonna praise the wicked. They gonna tell, hey, look, they just slut shaming, they just body shaming. Girl, show your body off, right? They're gonna tell you to do these things, and then next thing you know, guess what? The whole world is doing it. But even with Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, a lot of people gonna praise. Hey, look, we know that it's wicked, and all of us, I always tell people we live in a secluded world. The Most High is hiding us in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? There's Israel Twitter, there's Israel Instagram, there's Israel Facebook. And to us, what we see every day, we like, man, it's no way everybody blind to this. But best believe, if people don't follow who you follow, God, the Most High has us in a secluded, we're hidden in plain sight, right? Because if you go to these people's pages like Dwayne Wade's page or Gabrielle Union's page, guess what? They're getting praised. Many people are praising them, telling them they're doing the right thing. They excellent parenting, right? Because bitter is sweet and sweet is bitter. That's how you know we're living in the end. So check this out. The world has a moral standard, which is just be a good human being, be a good person. The world has a moral standard, but the Most High God has a moral standard too. How do you know that you're living in the Most High God's standard or if you're living in the world standard, right? If worldly things make you feel good, then you're living in the world, right? If you can agree with every man in the world, right, you might be in the world, because it says right here that the righteous are going to contend with those that forsake the law. So you can't. And look, over and over and over again, it says who's going to judge. It's going to say over and over again, it says where are the children that's going to judge? Who's going to stand up for righteousness? Over and over and over again, though, the opposite side is telling you only God could judge. But God's looking for his children to judge. And that's going to cause some derision sometimes. So how do you know that you're being held up to the Most High standard, or if you're being held up to the world standard. Because the world will encourage you now. You could be even in this truth or in this walk and get praise from men. You get praise from men and you're wicked, right? You forsaken the law and you don't even know it. So check this out. Let's go to 1 John 5:3. This is how you tell. This is how you tell. This is the book of 1 John. This is the book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. And it reads, "For this is the love of God." This is how you know that you love God and that God loves you. "For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous." Right? Because if we keep his commandments, we know that we're always going to be in God's standard. Because guess what? If you sin, that means you commit a crime. And if you commit a crime, we can all say a crime is bad. So if in that act of committing a crime, if a crime is bad, that makes you a bad person at that time you committed it. Right? So this is what tells us what's good and what's bad. The Most High God's laws, because sin is the transgression of the law. Right? So if that means if you sin, that means you go against God's law, which makes you a bad person. That's what determines what's good and what's bad. Right? Let's go to Hebrews 12 and 6. This is the book of Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 6. "For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourges every son whom he receiveth." This means that the Most High is going to tell you what to do and what not to do. You got to be a man. You got to be woman enough to just accept it. The Most High said separate from this person. You got to separate. The Most High said that you can't love this person that way. You can't love that person that way. The Most High said that you can't damage your body this way. You can't damage your body this way. Whatever the Most High said goes. Right? We can't get in our feelings because we feel a certain way, and then another person comes up and they feel the same way, and now we linked up, and yeah, this must be right because I'm not the only one that thinks this way. No, don't follow a multitude to do evil. Just don't lean onto your own understanding. Whatever he said, that's what it is. He got the final say. All right. Let's go to John chapter 12 and 43. John 12 and 43. This is the book of John chapter 12 and verse 43. "For they love the praise of men more than the praise of God." Right? And a lot of times that's what happens. That's what's going on in the world. We love the praise of men more than the love of the praise of God. Right? We want to hear, yeah, that is right. That brother's so smart. That's why that's why social media is so powerful today. Right? YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, because people can comment and encourage you, right? Or confirm what you're saying. And it gives us a big head. You get all different type of people. I be on social media sometimes and just shaking my head like, this person, man, they must think that they are heaven sent, because all these people in their comments talking about, that's so right, man, I never knew that, man, you just taught me something. Men and women. I'm just like, man, y'all going off this person, and y'all not doing nothing but building the ego of this person, right? You're praising the wicked. And now this person, they've gotten to a point where their ego won't let them be taught no more, because they have so much clout, because they have so many people confirming them. And the people that's confirming under the comments, guess what? They confirming with other people under the comments. So now guess what? They believe what they said is right too. And now it's just a lost cause. You know what I'm saying? So the praise of men is the downfall of our people. No lie. And the praise of men is what got the truth of God turned into a lie, because a lot of times we can't hear the Most High. Everybody can't hear the Most High. They can't tell when the Most High is praising them or blessing them, right? Because he'll do it subtly, or he'll do it little by little. Or, you know, the Most High might be trying your reins and putting you through persecution. And that's his way of saying, hey, look, you're my faithful servant. Just like he did with Job. But you taking that as, oh, I'm doing something wrong. So a lot of us, we don't hear from the Most High God, or we don't have spiritual eyes to see or spiritual ears to hear from the Most High. So we look for that in humans. We look for that in our neighbor. We look for that in our friends or random people in our comments, right? Even in the truth. We might think we have a revelation, bring something out, and guess what? Just because a whole bunch of people agree with it, we think we're right. But guess what? 9 times out of 10, if a lot of people are agreeing with it, it's because it's not right. All right. So check this out. I want to give an example of what we are today. Right. This is 2 Maccabees. This is where we are today. A look inside of where we are today. Right. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 7. Second Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 16. Verse 16. And it reads, not 16. Oh, my bad. That was First Maccabees. Second Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 16. It reads, right? It says, then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men. Thou art corruptible. Thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God. So pretty much this is Shalom. This is right here telling you, you know what I'm saying, pretty much the times that we're living in today. Let's start from the beginning of that. It says, then looked he unto the king. Who's the king? The king would be influencers. The king would be presidents. The king would be people on the news, right? That have the power to deem what's moral and what's not. People in Congress, people making these laws and rules and accepting this and accepting that, right? Turning the truth of God into a lie. It says, then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, right? That's how we know, because they have power over men with influence. All right. It says, thou art corruptible, meaning, hey, look, y'all going to come to an end. You're not an eternal God like the Most High God. Let's keep reading. It says, thou doest what thou wilt. Everybody in this nation, everybody in the world, per se, does what they want to do. And that's why this world is crumbling fast. That's why we're living in the end times, because everybody does what they want to. You do what you will. And this is how you know the difference between serving the Most High and serving man. You get into arguing with people all the time on what's right and what's wrong. And you come to this word and people can't agree with the word, even though they say they follow the word, because they're confused. They've been told that whatever makes them feel good is what's good. And they've been brainwashed to think they know what good is. But they don't know that there's been a large deception that's deceiving the whole world. Because the only thing that's good is these laws, statutes, and commandments. Right? It says, yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God. Don't think that there's a remnant that's still being chastised of the Most High, that's not doing what they want to do. That's controlling their flesh. That's possessing their vessels with sanctification and honor, like Thessalonians 4:4 say. All right. So that's like a little, a window, right, of what's really going on here. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 2 and 15. Habakkuk chapter 2. And 15. It says, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink. Right? So this is finna get real spiritual, right? It says, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. What does that mean? Let's break it down. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink. So imagine that you at a party. When you at a party and you the only sober one at a party, guess what? Nobody likes that. You the party pooper. You're the one that is taking the fun out of it. So everybody got shot glasses up to your face. They got solo cups trying to get you to drink. Everybody's trying to get you to open your mouth to pour some liquor down your throat so you could turn up too. Right? So it says, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also. Hey, look, woe unto those people that's peer pressuring you. Right. But spiritually, on a spiritual level, this is not talking about just drinking. This is talking about to do what you want to do. It's going to be other people that feel like they can do what they want to do and it's right. And they're going to encourage you to do what you want to do. Hey, look, I know that the Bible says this, but think about it this way. You could do that. You can go ahead and do that. They're going to, just because they're doing what they want to do, they want to make sure that you're doing what you want to do too. Right. Because who wants to be in sin by themselves? In the world, who wants to be drunk by themselves? Right? You want other people to indulge in that with you. So keep reading. That thou mayest look on their nakedness. Right? They just want to see you naked in sin. They just want to see that you doing what they doing. So they're going to encourage you. They're going to make you seem like that you're an outcast. Right? A lot of people will be like, that's hate. What you're preaching is hate. When it comes to the Israelites, they'll say that what you're preaching is hate. But we're preaching is the Bible. We're preaching the Bible. But they'll say, hey, look, y'all preaching hate. Y'all preaching hate. Y'all should preach it like this. This is the only thing that matters. According to who? According to who? According to you? Because we're preaching the Bible. You might not like what's inside this Bible, but this is the standard that we're living to. This is the standard that we live by. You don't have to live by. You do have to live by it, but if you choose not to, that's on you. But don't try to make me not do it so I can be naked in sin just because you don't understand. Right? Because guess what? At the end of the day, a lot of these people, they just speak according to their own will. So check this out. 1 Kings 22. This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 22. Chapter 22 and 14. 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 14. It says, And Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. Dispersion of that which is good. Con. So he says, that what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. So if the Lord tell me, hey, look, separate from your enemies, I got to do that. If the Lord tell me I can't eat this, I got to do that. It's not advice. It's not what the Lord thinks is good for us. It's He said to do it, so we do it. There's no way around that. If you truly love the Lord, even if it was just advice, you're going to do it. You're not going to do your own advice. A lot of times people don't come to the revelation that, hey, look, we have a dietary law to stick by. They'll say stuff like, the Most High cleaned all that. But my thing is this. If you truly love the Most High, if you truly love God, and He said not to do it, why would you want to do it in the first place? You actually don't do nothing that He said. You don't do nothing that's clean. You actually do everything that's unclean just to prove a point. So you calling bitter sweet and sweet bitter. And now you've done it so much to where just like that alcohol, it tastes like water now. It don't taste bitter no more. You know what I'm saying? You don't notice all the disease from it. You don't notice all the punishment for the iniquities that we go through. But like Micaiah said, hey, look, that the Lord said to me, that will I speak. And if it causes us to be hated for that, so be it. But we got a standard to uphold, not a standard of men, but a standard from the Most High. All right. Because we don't call the shots. At the end of the day, we don't call the shots. As much as we want to call the shots, as much as we want to say, hey, that doesn't sound right, that I don't know about that. It's what it says. And at the end of the day, we're not the ones that's creating this picture, right? For example, if we're not the ones that's creating this movie. If He wanted to make this person evil and this person good, guess what? That person evil, that person good. I can't say, well, I kind of like that character. I can't say that. Because guess what? I don't call the shots. I'm just getting paid to do my job, to be a servant, right? To be an actor. I'm just acting this thing out. All right, so let's go to Matthew 7:21. This is the book of Matthew chapter 7 and verse 21. It reads, "Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven." Because a lot of these people, folks, aren't ready to give up their worldly. Hey, look, they're not ready to give up their flesh, right? Their worldly things, their worldly achievements, the accomplishments that they've accomplished. They're not ready to give those things up, man. They can't fathom the fact that they just worked so hard for 14 years and now they got to change their career because it goes against the Most High. They can't fathom the fact that they have to put down something that they actually wanted for a being that they can't see, that puts breath in them, that wakes them up every day. They can't fathom those things, right? But they'll talk themselves into, like Sirach 32 say what? Shalom, shalom. It's like Sirach 32 say, a sinful man's going to find a way to do his own will. They won't be reproved. So guess what? They're gonna find a way to make themselves feel comfortable, to make themselves feel like what they're doing is the right thing to do. And that way, hey, look, they're going to try it. When judgment day comes, they're going to say, Lord, Lord, hey, look, I was a good person. Look, though, I was a good person, though. I fed the homeless. I did. I was a good person. You got to let me in. The Most High is going to laugh at their calamity, man. That's why it says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Didn't we tell those people they wasn't speaking, they wasn't operating in the spirit, and that they was possessed by demons, right? In thy name cast out devils. Didn't I cast out those devils that was telling us that we had to keep your law? Didn't I cast out those devils that didn't have the Holy Spirit because they were telling me that they were telling this homosexual that he couldn't be homosexual no more instead of just praying with him, right? They're going to say that they cast out devils, but they was confused, right? They're going to say that they did many works, but they did no works, because they just believed that all they had to have was faith. They believed that their faith was their works. They believed that, hey, if I got faith, I'm going to be saved, so I'm going to do what I want to do. But my faith, that's big enough to, carry me through. But not so, man. We're living in the end times. But yeah, man, that's why Proverbs 33:5 says what? Lean not to your own understanding, right? Don't lean to your own understanding, because you lean to your own understanding, you're going to be destroyed with your own understanding. Everybody wants the Most High to talk to them. He has a book with nothing but his words in it, right? Everybody wants to know if something is right or if something is wrong. And a lot of times we'll just sit back and be like, I wonder if this is lawful. Hey, read. I wonder if the Most High accepts that. Read. He'll tell you, you know what I'm saying? And you don't have to guess no more. But we don't do that. We look for the approval of men. Instead of going to this book, we put it on social media and let social media tell us if it's right or wrong. We let the news tell us if it's right or wrong. We let the laws of this government tell us if it's right or wrong. And because of that, we've turned the truth of God into a lie. And that's how you know we're living in the end days. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. Hope everybody has a good night. Right? It says, in trials, we shall have the mindset of the Messiah, for then shall we be made like gold refined. Shalom.